we are live. Welcome, 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 one and all, to your second episode for season 2 of Live with Venice. I am your host, Venice Irving, and I'm so happy that you can join us for the second episode. This episode talking about how you can not only land jobs teaching children, but we're going to talk more about what online recruiters and online school owners are looking for when they're recruiting teachers to teach young children. We have a special guest today. Her name is Kristen Wright Diaz, and we're going to be talking about her companies, her travels, and her experiences with young children. So I'm going to give you a minute to settle on in, share this video, like, and of course, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Remember to put your name and where you're streaming in from in the comments below, and tell a friend. Share and tell a friend. Right now, we're going to be talking about how we can get jobs abroad, but mostly getting jobs online, teach young children. So we have our special guest today, Kristen, who's here to talk about her companies, what she is doing to help recruit persons. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about her personal life, her family, travels, and so forth. So guys, let me know how you are doing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on into the comment section and put in your name and where you are streaming in from. We can't wait to speak to you about all the opportunities we talked about and all the things that we are hoping to give you and to share with you, and the tips and tricks that you can use to land your first job. All right? So, guys, I'm still waiting for you to put your name in the comments. Let me welcome people, guys. Welcome from Jamaica. Welcome from the USA, from New York. Welcome from Pakistan, from Sri Lanka, from Australia, from Taiwan, from China, from Japan. Welcome one and all. And thank you for joining us. All right? So I'm going to welcome our special day, right? So welcome, Kristen.
Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
I'm trying to add Kristen on, but it's taking a little while. Hi, Dawn from Australia. Hi, Dawn. Thank you so much,
from
Dawn.
Australia. What time is it?
Thank you so much, Dawn. Please let me know what time, Italy. What time is it in Sydney, Australia, Dawn? Thank you so much, Dawn, for always supporting me and always helping me to, promote my brand, to promote this platform. Dawn and I were college mates way back in the day.
Wow.
So she's always stood by my side. So thank you so much, Dawn. So welcome. Thank you so much for gracing your presence here and for allowing us here in Jamaica, and as you can see, in Australia and all around the world, to know what you are doing in your it is 10:15. It's 10:15 in Monday morning, right? Monday morning for you, Dawn. All right. And it is Sunday evening for us here in Jamaica and New York. And I just want to welcome Kristen. So, Kristen, how are you doing, my dear?
I'm good.
How are you?
You saw how I ran in here like this today.
I know, right? I saw you running. So disclaimer, guys, please note that we are having a bit of internet instability right now. So if you see that we go in and out and maybe the audio is not very clear, please bear with us. There's nothing I can do at this point. But you know how it is on the internet, right, Kristen?
We keep it moving.
It comes and it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But we keep it moving.
The show must go on.
All right. So the first question I have for you, Kristen, is tell me more about yourself. Introduce yourself to everyone here.
Me? Little old me? Well, so there's so much to tell, but my roots are in the Bronx. I'm from the Bronx, New York. Born and raised. Mm-hmm. My family is Southern, and my extended family is from the Virgin Islands. So I always, even though it wasn't my immediate family, my cousins and their dads are from St. Thomas and Tortola. So that's also a part of my family.
Right.
But
Right.
came from the
Right.
Bronx, struggled with behavior and childhood. Um, and a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
has to do with why I teach the way that I do now, because, when you grow, you learn, you just know more and you can do better. And so I think about, different ways that I could have been handled as a child. But back then, nobody really knew. Everybody was just trying to figure it out. And the
Yeah.
best thing my family could have done was sit me down in front of Mr. Rogers and reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton. And you know what I mean? Everybody did what they could.
I
And
do.
that
I
has
do.
deeply set the foundation for where I am and what I do now. But from the Bronx, I
Mm-hmm.
ended up in Florida. Founders Day. I went to Florida A&M
All
University in
right.
Tallahassee. HBCU. My whole family went to
Mm-hmm.
HBCUs: Howard, Tuskegee, Spelman. So we're an HBCU family. Bethune-Cookman, my grandfather went there. My grandma went to FAMU. And FAMU is really that
Right.
what set me off on my journey. Education,
Mm-hmm.
travel,
Mm-hmm.
dance, creative arts. I've always danced, when I was younger. And I always said that I wanted to be like a dancer and a
Mm-hmm.
journalist. So I went to college for journalism
Right.
and was a copy editor for quite a few years. I worked with American Legacy magazine, which was an awesome experience. It's an African American history magazine. We were under Forbes at the time when I came in. And that's
Right.
kind of what pushed me into education, having a background in journalism, always being in
Mm-hmm.
classrooms, teaching dance programs. Eventually, after coming out of school and working at a magazine and then teaching, by the way, I've never had a full-time job ever. I've had like temp situations where I would go in and, help companies transition and such, but I've always pieced together things that made me happy. So there have been quite a few times in life
Mm-hmm.
where I was teaching a dance program, teaching education programs, and writing or editing, teaching social emotional learning, and teaching Zumba. So I always, piece together the
Wow.
things that make me happy. And that's how I fell into teaching, I guess you could say. I
So
also come from a
saying
family
then
of
that you have
educators.
more of an entrepreneur
One
because
more
your
time.
full-time job, even since college, right? So you're more of an entrepreneur. You'd rather do freelancing, do a part-time job here, a part-time job there, do some side hustle here, and make things work.
So something like that. I mean, I could say when I first came out of school, it was definitely a hustle thing. Now it's just my business. It's what I do.
Mm,
And
right.
funny enough, when I came out of school and I was teaching, and also working in journalism, people kept saying, "Well, which one do you want to do?"
Mhm.
And a lot of people were contracting me to write for them. I was writing
Mm.
bios for music artists and politicians. I was writing, helping people do business plans. And so I ran
What?
into an issue with writing business plans. I was like, well, I don't really know how to do
You
marketing.
have to name
So,
drop.
so when I finally had to decide, like, do you want to go to school for education or do you want to go for business? I was like, I think I'm gonna go
Mhm.
for business. And when I came out of business school, I started
Mm.
teaching entrepreneurship in the schools. So I was literally able to take my teaching and take my business
Okay.
and marry them together. And from there, went,
Right.
how I expanded that business. But little fun fact, when I was in school, it was a couple of years before I actually did my education business. I actually used a magazine as my thesis. And so I worked heavily in the film industry for about 2 or 3 years. I had a magazine called Neo Black Cinema. And so I would travel to film festivals. I had writers at
Mhm.
different, African American festivals, cultured festivals, Latin American festivals all around the United States. And I did that for a few years and it was super fun. I always like to tell people I featured Ava
I'm
DuVernay on my
sure it
second
was.
cover. Okay. I knew she was going to be amazing. And I also featured Ryan
Oh,
Coogler
oh. So,
as
so
a student
you
to watch.
you featured her before she was. Yeah. And you featured Ryan before he was. Yeah.
I featured, well, Ava was already very
So
well known in the
you were the
industry.
gatekeeper. Oh, yeah.
I'd like to think that she was very well known in the
At
industry.
that
She was
time,
actually
right?
a PR person. But she made her first film and I saw her first film. I was like,
Okay.
she's amazing.
Mhm.
I need to feature her. And then Ryan Coogler was in my students section, students to watch.
Right.
And so he was still in college when I featured him as somebody who
Wow.
was going to blow up. And so Just snaps for the foresights,
And he
okay?
did. He did. He did.
Wakanda
All
forever.
right. So you're telling me a little bit about, yes, right. So you're telling me a little bit about how you got into the teaching
Mhm.
through your education, but how did your family impact getting into the teaching?
So shout out to my family because my family is the best, okay? Um, two companies. So one of my companies was Many Endeavors. And when I was in grad school, I decided I was going to branch off two different businesses. So I like established two businesses. I put one on the side. I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do with Many Endeavors, but I'm gonna do something with it one day. And I went full force with the magazine. When I transitioned from that industry, I started going into schools and teaching with a number of different companies. Leap is one company that I worked with. I had a great experience working with Leap. And I
Leap.
still Leap. It's called Learning Through an Expanded Arts Program, located here in New York City.
Yeah.
I also worked with a company that taught entrepreneurship. Different companies
I
that I
think
was.
this one is a part of it, right? Leap Start. This is for my.
That's
This
not the
is
company
from
that I
it.
work with, but I keep seeing Leap everywhere. So it's
This
like a
one is it.
pretty
Yes.
that's not specifically Leap, the one that I work with, but I've seen
Okay.
Leapfrog. That's like a thing with kids, Leap. Um, so yeah,
Right.
I started working with Leap, and then I also branched
Mm-hmm.
off and made my own company because I had so many schools approaching me personally, asking me to come in and do my programs. And one of the things that I learned working for other people is many times I would say, hey, I'm doing some of this, some of what you showed me, but I'm also doing a whole lot of this that's mine. And this seems to be working. And what kept happening was like, oh,
Mm.
no, that's fine. Just do what we told you. Like, and I'm like, oh, but that's not working. So at some point I learned, like, instead of always handing my ideas over to somebody else, why don't I just keep them and then do them for me and make my money on the side? And so eventually I started just
There you
creating my own
go.
programs with what I knew and with what I had been teaching, and it blew up. So that's how Many Endeavors came about. And Many is significant. You had asked me earlier. Many is my grandma's
Yes.
name, Minnie Mae Sapp, and she was an
Oh.
educator. She went to Florida A&M University. Um, and she was a teacher for many, many years in the Bronx. So my grandma is my heart. And when I formed Many Endeavors, it
Oh.
was definitely with her in mind. I had so many different things going on. I couldn't pick one. So I said Many, instead of many. And
Right.
that's how Many Endeavors came about. So
Oh.
that company, I do most of my programs in New York City schools, sometimes in Westchester,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in Connecticut, and community
Mm-hmm.
centers, schools, organizations will contract me to come in and do a number of programs, sometimes dance, sometimes parent workshops, sometimes literacy
Mm-hmm.
programs. And then I also
Mm-hmm.
have contractors
Mm-hmm.
who go in on behalf of the company, part of my team. I have some who teach drama, some who teach dance, some who teach computer art. So I have a team of people who work for me as well, with Many Endeavors. So that's mostly New York
Right.
City
I was just
schools.
gonna ask if you have a staff of persons that work along with you to go to these schools in New York City and
I
Westchester.
do.
So
And
how many persons do you have on your staff?
it fluctuates. It really just depends on the work. I will say one of the things I've learned in business is you cannot do it all by yourself. And at one point, I was the person people kept
That's true.
requesting. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do it all. And then I was like, but I can't because I'm one person. And so I always said, if
Mm-hmm.
I hire someone, they have
Mm-hmm.
to be as good as me or better. And so I kind of
That's
pushed
true.
through that. Maybe 5 years ago, I was going through this program called Momentum. Always love to highlight Momentum. It's like a personal professional development company, and they came really hard at me about looking for support, asking for support. They were like, "You keep doing everything on your own.
Mm-hmm.
That's not sustainable." And so I finally let go
Mm-hmm.
of the I have to always be doing it and said, you know what, let me bring some other people in who I trust. And it was a great decision because I put together an awesome team of people, and we did very well in the schools when we were in there. So that was a good decision on my part to
Thank you
finally
so much for
trust
saying
people.
that, because many of us as entrepreneurs starting out thinking that we can do it all because it's our ideas, it's our
Mm,
intellectual property, it's our thing, it's our company, our name, our
yep.
brand, and not knowing that we can really and allow somebody else to come in and help. And
Yeah.
like you said, you don't have to water down the brand just because you're taking on someone. You can hire someone that has the same
Oh yeah.
amount of talent that you have, or even better than you. Yes, that
Yep.
can come in and give as much as you want to give to the company. So thank you so much for highlighting that. All right. So you have the mini endeavors, and I want to ask you what kind of programs do you do in these city schools, these public schools?
Okay, so I have like three different tiers that I list my programs in. The first tier I have is mostly just educational programs. So that's going to be literacy,
Mm-hmm.
math, teaching English as a second language, GED programs,
Mm-hmm.
and really just in the realm of education. I teach entrepreneurship through math, just fun ways to be able to teach
Mm-hmm.
things that you might already teach at home. Then
Right,
the second tier is
right.
college and career development. So I work with students on finding their career path. It doesn't always have to be college. What does that look like? I work with even adults on resume writing, transition into new careers, learning how to fill out job
Mm-hmm.
applications, learning how to search for jobs, writing cover letters, interviewing skills. So really just like prepping people. And then I also do PDs for schools where I go in and work with teachers directly on behavior management,
Right.
teachers who may be struggling in some areas. I also teach workshops to the teachers sometimes on how to deal with difficult personalities and self-awareness and how we are showing up in the school
Mm-hmm.
as well as in the classroom. And then the
Right.
bottom tier is called like healthy living. So that involves art, mindfulness and meditation, creative movement, cooking classes, healthy cooking, making meals on a budget. So, just it's three different areas, but they are all educational. I do believe in always being a whole person
Right.
and teaching the whole child. And the purpose of me always having programs to cover multiple things is I feel like sometimes people get stuck. Like it's just really all about just this career thing, but it's not. Because if you go tomorrow, that job is gonna find somebody else. And same thing as far as
Yes.
taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? Being able to just like sit and breathe. Stress management is huge. I teach a lot of stress management programs in the Bronx, and I go into communities that may have limited exposure around just being able to say how they're feeling. These are communities where therapy and, outsourcing is not really highlighted. But when I come in, it'll be
Mm.
a room of 15, 20, women and men, and they're all just pouring with emotions of things that they're dealing with. And I've been asked, please come back. We need to do this
Wow.
again. So it's
Yeah.
more than just teaching.
Okay. All right. And you're all doing this virtually, correct?
Well, no. So Many Endeavors was strictly in person until COVID hit. And then I continued doing a
Right.
number of programs online. I had a few schools say, look,
Mm-hmm.
we want you to keep doing this. And I actually had a really nice time working with students and parents virtually. We would do Zoom workshops. We did, some marketing
Mm-hmm.
workshops. Like one workshop, we met with the parents and they all came up with a different business idea. And we talked about the ins and outs of pricing their business and marketing their business and the 5 Ps. I did literacy
Right.
programs with little ones where we were doing scavenger hunts in their homes in the middle of the day. So it
Oh.
just, we were able to transition well. And another company that I contract with is Girls Leadership, which is an awesome company if you have girls
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking to help them, build up their voice, build up their courage. I also stepped in as a national program manager for family focused programs during COVID, and
Mm-hmm.
transitioned all their programs on online, trained some of the educators to come in and teach them online, created some of the material to
Right.
teach online. So we're all learning how to navigate in this virtual space now. It came hard and fast, but we figured it out.
All
So that's what leads us
right.
to Hodge Podge.
Listen, that's a lot that you are doing. Yeah, that's what you're doing, and by the team that you're talking about, it's a lot of tears that you just told me. So this is what I'm going to ask you now about Hodge Podge, because that's another company that you are the executive director of. You have so many hats that you're wearing, girl. This is girl power right here. So tell me more about Hodge Podge and why the name Hodge Podge.
Hodgepodge. So
Start with the
hodgepodge.
name. Why? Why?
I did not create Hodge Podge. Hodge Podge was founded by my aunt
Okay.
Shree Shalani Hodge in the
Mm.
early 1980s.
Oh, okay.
My late uncle Victor Hodge. That's how the name came to our family, and
Mm-hmm.
we honor it and we own it. And so she opened a
Mm-hmm.
preschool when me and my cousins were little, and she served the whole community.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were kids who lived up the block, parents who just came to the country, and they all went to the Hodge Podge, and we had a summer program. And so until she transitioned, she ran the Hodge Podge until she transitioned into the New York City classroom, and me and my cousins all went off into school, and we always brag that we all went into the gifted program after coming out of the Hodge Podge. But our
Right.
our neighbor and friend um continued the Hodge Podge after for years, and finally put it down in the early 2000s. And so it's always been a family name. And I've always talked to my Aunt Tree about doing something with it, because at some point, right now I own Hodge Podge Life Learners. And there's so many tiers
Mm-hmm.
under Hodge Podge Life Learners, because I do believe that you learn for your life. And at some point, we will have a
Right.
travel program. We'll talk about the travel, because there is also Hodge Podge Explorers.
You
But
better come to Jamaica.
I was there last year. Last
What?
year. Yeah. I was there for a wedding. It was
Ooh,
a
we
good
need to
time
talk more
too. I
about
went
that.
to Dunn's River Falls. It was so much fun. Um,
That's good.
in Ocho.
Okay,
But
continue.
yeah, so Hodge Podge, I picked it back up. I kept telling her I'm gonna do something with this. And she's like, okay, just let me know what you're doing with it. And after COVID hit, at some point I said, eventually I'll probably be back in the New York City schools. But in the meantime, I have all of this material. I have all these lessons that I've been teaching for years, putting together myself, keeping my own intellectual property. When go in and I work with other companies, like, oh, can we see a lesson plan? You can see a piece of it, but the rest of this is all me, right? So why am I holding my
Right.
stuff to myself, when I can be sharing this and also making money and also empowering other people to be able to make money? So that's how Hodge Podge
Mm-hmm.
Kids came about. And the website is hodgepodgekidz.com. You can go and leave your email address right now. As soon as the site is up, everybody will get an email. My designers are in there right now. It was supposed to be done, but I'm particular. So until it looks the way that I want it to look, that's when we'll have the platform. But our classes do drop tomorrow in Thinkific. So, look at that, Hodgepodge Kids. And we got a little jingle too. Hodgepodge Kids,
What?
Hodgepodge, Hodgepodge Communities. Yes. Shout out to Genesis and what's the boy's name? Zahari. They sang the Hodgepodge Kids song with their mother, Jennifer Johnson, who is my ace. She's the person who's really behind the scenes making
Oh.
this all happen. But yeah, so Hodgepodge
Mm-hmm.
Kids has 3 tiers as of right now. What kind of 4? We got Hodgepodge Academy, which is a 5-day-a-week program. This is going to be great for homeschool parents, for daycares, for schools that are looking to
Mm-hmm.
supplement for their kids, for parents who just need an hour to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Here, go sit in front of the TV. Here, your worksheets. You can do this. We have Mindfulness Monday, where we talk to the children about their feelings, about breathing. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you taste? What do you smell? We read affirming stories about, I like myself, or I'm special. This is the way that I deal with my feelings when I'm feeling sad. These are some things I can do, because I do believe that's the foundation. So before we get started with our week, we need
Right.
to center ourselves. On Tuesday, we choose a story. And the same way the days of the week are focused on one particular thing, we have 4 weeks that we run in modules. So week 1 of the month is always self. Week 2 of the month is family. Week 3 of the month is community, and week 4 of the month is the
Mm-hmm.
world. And so it's to keep them knowing that me first, right? I have to take care of myself. Then there's my family, then there's my community, and then there's
Right.
the world. So we get to show up in all those
Mm-hmm.
spaces. And a lot of that came from Freedom School. So shout out to Freedom School.
Right.
That was formed in the 1960s, and their principles are very similar with self, family, community, country. So that's the way the 4 weeks work. But each day of the week, as I said, Monday is Mindfulness Monday. Tuesday is Tell Me a Story Tuesday. and we storyboard, we pull out verbs from the story, we look at the setting, we look at the characters, we look at the problem and the solution, and then we retell the story the way we want it to end. On Wednesday, we pull
Right.
3 words out of the story, and then we explore how to put together sentences. So we'll do pull a noun, we'll come up with the adjectives to describe the noun, we'll come up with the verbs that the noun does, and then we'll put it into a sentence. Thursdays is all think math, and my sis cousin Kia Hodge, she's the mastermind of all things math. She's also an educator in Atlanta. And so we pull even more out of the story. The first week, this week coming up, we do the giving tree. And so instead of just saying, okay, 1+1 is 2, we take the trunk from the giving tree and we know that that's a square. And then we take the branches and we make those triangles. And then we
Right.
take the apples and we make those circles. And then we paste them and then we add them together. And then we create a bar graph with red and green and brown. So we take the lesson from here and we differentiate. We just keep adding on levels, right? The little ones are going to
Wow.
get the shapes, and then maybe the kindergartners are going to get the simple math, and then the first graders are going to get the word problem, and the second graders are going to build a bar graph. So you can literally sit a range of aged children in front of the TV and have them watch that and participate and
Wow.
feel, use their motor skills. And then Friday is Free to Be Me Fridays. That's all about dance, singing, art, drama. We take the same story, we become a tree, then we look at our storyboard and we act out all of our verbs together, and then we put it into a dance. So every day is just something
Wow.
fun, something new.
It
And we do
sounds
this.
so good.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's quite
I'm a
creative. I've
teacher.
never heard of something like that. That is truly differentiated instruction. It's
You see how I
good.
talk a mile a minute. I get excited about it because there are just so many different ways to learn. And if you are a child who,
Yes.
has a hard
Yes.
time just being able to sit and follow like a lecture, this is a way for you to really
Right.
interact. Jennifer creates the worksheets so that they're going to have worksheets. At the end of every week, you're going to have a portfolio. It's not going to be like my child was just flipping through YouTube watching, kids talk about toys all
Right.
day. They're interacting, they're coloring, when they're done, they have a little portfolio. And then that's pretty awesome to be able to say, like, look, this is what I was doing all week, right? And then you're also building your vocabulary
Right.
skills, you're
Right.
building your math. So that's the pilot program. That's the program that I'm teaching. And I'm a teacher, I'm not an actor. So I have had to learn how to have this lovely ring light and edit and put sounds in and,
You see this ring light shining on my
whew.
cheeks.
So I'm learning as I go, but the idea was to be basic, back to the basics of teaching, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't have cartoons in the background. We are teaching and we are
Right.
enjoying it. So that's Hodge Podge Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Then we also have Hodge Podge Classrooms, which is where I have teachers, some of your teachers, who are going to be teaching all
Yes.
academic programs. We got
Ooh.
we got math, we got
Mm-hmm.
social studies, we got science, we got literacy, we
Mm-hmm.
got
Mm-hmm.
English learners, Spanish. I think we have somebody teaching French. But that's all academics.
Okay.
SAT prep, that's going to be on the site as well.
Mm-hmm.
High school and
Mm-hmm.
young children. So it's not just young children who we cater to.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, and that's live classes. So you can get your homework help, you can get tutoring, you can do group classes if that's more affordable for you. I really wanted to make this affordable. And we also have a donate button. So if you're somebody who can't
Right.
afford to pay for another child who may not have access, then we encourage you to do that as well.
That's good.
And then finally, there's Hodge Podge Creatives. And I am so excited about Hodge Podge Creatives because I'm already a dancer. So we do have somebody teaching mommy and me hip
Mm-hmm.
hop. We have cooking. We have a
Wow.
Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
cooking class. All right. We got a full Jamaican person who is going to be doing a cooking class once a week. That makes me very excited. Go shop for my ingredients. But yes,
Uh-huh.
we have
Uh-huh.
family yoga. We have puppetry. We have music in the morning for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
We have drama in the morning for little
Mm-hmm.
kids. We have creative writing.
Mm-hmm.
So we sewing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure I'm going to have Zumba soon. And I'm looking at bringing in some Mexican folklore classes and some Afro-Brazilian,
Mm-hmm.
Afro-Cuban, and Congolese dance. So all over the spectrum. You want to move, this is where you want to come. You want to do art, this is where you want to come. You want to do puppetry, this is where you want to come. It's a one-stop shop to get your academics, get your movement, and get your creativity all in one. So that's Hodge Podge Kids.
It sure is a one-stop shop. Hodge Podge Kids. So you said there are 3 sections to it. Hodge Podge Academy, Hodge Podge Classrooms, and Hodge Podge Creatives, correct?
Yes. And we do have Hodge Podge parents. So there are a number of workshops that we'll
And
be
Hodge
leading
Podge
soon.
parents.
I have somebody who's going to be doing bullying
For the
workshops. I have
parents.
somebody who's going to be doing how to assess your child's learning styles. Someone who's going to be talking about mental health of maternal health. So there are extras just for the parents too. But that's a series that we're going to have coming very soon.
All right. Well, this is all a mouthful, guys. Listen, this woman here is just a mover and shaker in her own right. She's there in New York City, in her own corner of the world, just doing her thing. She is changing the world. And she's also offering opportunities for you. So, Kristen, are looking for the kids to come onto the platform. Tell me more. Tell us, what are you looking for? The personalities of the teachers, the qualifications that you're looking for, their experience and all of that.
So I'm definitely looking for educated teachers who have strong internet connections. And when I say educated, I mean educated in your art form. In your art form. That means if you are a person who does your art, visual arts, then do your art. You know what I mean? I want to see what you have. I want to see what you've done. Always professional. One of the things that we always ask our educators is be good with the email. That means before each class, you're going to send an introduction. Before you begin each series of classes, you have an introduction. After each one of your classes, within 24 hours, everyone gets an email saying, this is what we did. This is what you're going to need for the next class. Our first group of classes is going to be running from October 19th to the week before Christmas, with Thanksgiving week off. So that means it's an 8-week program. If you're creative, then that means you should be working toward a project. That means, that week before Christmas, we're going to have a display of either a drama project or a music project, or, for my sewing teacher, she's aprons. You're going to have something to present after those 8 weeks. And then we'll renew from January to March, and then again from April to June. So if you can't commit to the whole year, that's fine. We're looking for people to be able to commit to 3 months. And then, we'll go back, review the contract, see what the feedback was, and see, can we do this again, whether it's academic or whether it's creative. And we're looking for teachers from
listen, guys, listen. From all over the world, all languages, correct? So you're looking for French teachers, Spanish teachers. You're looking for creative teachers, cultural teachers.
Yes.
So you're not opposed to if someone is not necessarily a native English speaker.
Nope.
They can always come on and teach their language.
Absolutely. So
guys,
this is a cultural,
it.
You asked me earlier about my travels, and you were saying, did it happen by accident? Kind of, but not really. Right. So I always knew I wanted to travel. And when I was young, we always went to the Caribbean. So I was never limited with seeing beautiful places. We were always in St. Thomas. We did cruises and things like that. But I never ventured into the other part of the world until college. I decided I was going to teach a program.
When you said the other world, where you've been first?
Japan.
So
I taught in
Japan.
Okay. Well, I taught in Japan. I've done business programs in Frankfurt, Germany, and in London. I've taught in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I can't say I taught in Cuba as much as I just danced with people in the streets. I did also teach in South Africa, in a place called Mafeking. That was amazing. I was able to help coach other facilitators and help them with their programs. And then most recently, I actually went to an intensive program in Nicaragua and also got to teach while I was there. So it was more like an exchange. But yeah, I've taught in different places. I've traveled. I spent 2 months in Africa in 2017. That was like a life-changing experience with my road dog, Wafia. Shout out to Wafia. She trusted me to help her travel to 9 different countries in 2 months. And she just packed her bag and said, okay, Kristen, what are we doing? And I was like, okay, next, this is where we're going tomorrow. So I am a free spirit, as you can See. um, but I do believe traveling has really just opened up my mind, opened up my spirit to
Mm-hmm.
just the world is different. The world is different. And, you know, granted, if you're limited in opportunity or in finance, I definitely get everybody can't just hop on a flight and travel. But one of the things that I always
Right.
tell my students is that I was traveling before I had the money to do it. I'm a person who will seize opportunity. And when I ended up in Japan, it
Right.
was because I met somebody who said that they went to China with some program. And I was like, well, I need to do that where? And I gave up my Saturdays during college all day for quite a few months so that I could go and do this program and teach children in another country. And when I came out of
Mm-hmm.
college, same thing. I was looking for extra work on my hustle and came across this public relations company
Mm-hmm.
that said they would fly me somewhere to do something. And I was like, okay. And so I started flying around the United States with them and saving up, giving up my seat so I could get extra miles on this airline and extra miles on that airline. And finally, one of my best friends said, come fly out here and meet me in London. So I was in London. She goes, you want to go to Paris for the weekend? Oh, yes. That was it for me. I was like, I'm going to be doing this a whole lot. And since
Mm-hmm.
then, I've managed to really work my way around the world. I haven't made it to Australia yet. Shout out to the person in Australia right now, 11 o'clock.
Shout out to Dawn.
I haven't made it there yet, but I'm determined to make it there. And before COVID, I was trying to get to Bali. So there are a few more places that I would definitely like to
Ali.
go to. Um, but yeah, I love to
Mm-hmm.
travel. I love to meet new people. And when I travel, I'm not really a resort kind of person. I'm always somewhere with locals,
Mm-hmm.
blending in with a t-shirt and some jeans on,
Right. Right.
being quiet and listening. So I don't call attention to myself. But I love being able to
Mm-hmm.
travel. I love being able to travel. And I have a teenager um, who I
Mm-hmm.
kind of drag around with me when she's not in school. So I've made it my mission to make sure that she is exposed to as much travel too, because it really does make a
Exactly.
difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Dawn says, come on over. She's inviting
Listen,
you to come on over to Australia.
I
So,
will really take
hey,
you up on that.
book your
You
ticket
don't know
from
how many
now.
people who have said come, and I called them and said, "Hey, are you available
And they're like,
on
you really
March?"
coming?
That's me.
So funny.
And I host too. You know what
Dawn
I mean? We
says,
got a guest room over here, so if anybody's in New York and I met
oh,
you on my
do you do the
travels,
Airbnb?
I don't. Well, I
Do you
have.
do
I
Airbnb?
Yes, the whole time I was in Africa, almost everywhere I stayed was an Airbnb. And let me tell you, one of the best things
Okay.
about
Okay.
Airbnb, um, I I told you I'm a little crazy. I have another friend named Tiffany who travels with me. And when I went to Cuba, I decided I was going to stay at 5 different Airbnbs so that I can learn different parts of Havana. That was not the smartest thing in the world because I was having to pack up every day and recheck in. But the first place that I
Yes.
stayed, I ended up really bonding with the family. And so the grandma would cook breakfast for us every morning. Instead of like being off, most of my Airbnbs, I have the whole place. But this time I was like, you know what? Let me just get a room and see what it's like to commune with other people. And I met friends from Australia. I met friends from Germany. I met
Mm-hmm.
friends from where was it? I can't remember. But every time I sat down at a table, it was somebody from another country, and it was so beautiful being
Oh,
able to break bread
that's
with
so
somebody and
nice.
yeah, talk about their country and
Yes.
learn about things that I didn't know. Um, so I went to Madagascar um, when I was in
Ah.
Africa, um, and even then we sat down with pilots who were flying in from Italy, and they
Mm-hmm.
were telling us about all the different experiences that they had. So I love to be able to just talk to people and pick their brains and learn about their countries and the politics and the culture, and the people and how they're growing and some of the issues that they're having in their countries, because sometimes we think that it's just us, especially here in America right now with the things that are going on. You travel to
Mm-hmm.
some other countries and they say, well, we've been dealing with stuff like this for years. So it's
Right.
sobering,
Exactly.
to realize it's not always as
Mm-hmm.
bad as we think, but also to realize, I've heard a lot of people say it's hard for Americans to travel. As a brown American, I've gotten a lot more empathy when I travel because people feel sad for what Black people in America are dealing with. And they're
What
like,
is
are
going
you guys
on?
okay?
I
Are
feel
y'all
sad
okay?
too.
So it
Are
hasn't
you
worked against
okay?
me.
Yeah.
What's funny when you ask that? I always say
All
I'll
right. So
always be okay. I'll always
go
be
ahead.
okay, but I think about the vulnerable populations that I teach in, and that's who I think about first. It's not just
Right.
about if I'm okay. Are they okay? If they're not okay, then I'm not really okay. I
Mm,
can't turn a blind eye to my community
yeah.
not being all right and be like, well, I'm good. That's not how I operate. It's not where I'm from
Yeah.
or how my family rolls.
And if we all had that same mindset, wouldn't the world be a better place? You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
So I hope we can take, if we can take something from this conversation, that would be it. All our brother's
Yeah,
keeper. And if they're
absolutely.
not okay, we are not. All right. I have another question for you. Now you say you're looking for educators.
Hmm.
I want you to talk to an educator who may not have experience teaching children. But before you give them tips, I'm going to give some tips how educators can engage young children, especially virtually, because we're all now learning virtually. And it's not easy because some educators are not used to that virtual
Hmm.
learning platform or that virtual workspace. So give us some tips as teachers what we can do to engage children. But before you do that, tell us what's your target age group for Hodge Podge kids. Is it younger children? Is it teenagers, adults? What? Where are the age range? What's the age
We
range?
So as of right now, we are going from zero to adult. That means that there are some people
Zero
who are
to
going to be
adult.
doing very early childhood programs, that are going to be doing mommy and me
Mhm,
programs who just have small children. And then we also are teaching
mhm,
adults, English learners for adults, creatives programs for adults, adults who are working on getting their GED. So it's called Hodge Podge Kids, but it
mhm.
really is somewhere that everybody can come to. Now, if you
Okay.
are somebody who's normally used to working with adults, I would say apply to work with the adult programs. But if you want to transition into working with kids, the first thing kids need is energy and engagement. When you are behind a screen, you have to turn it up
Right.
times 50. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard parents say, like, my teacher is just giving worksheets. They still haven't quite figured it out. Let me give a shout out to my girlfriend, Akila. She has done amazing in transitioning her students to online. She teaches herself things. So, one of the things I would tell you to do is go online and research. Anything you don't know how to do, you can teach yourself how to do. Take a
Right.
class in how to use your Zoom. I just started doing like breakout sessions in some of my Zooms so that the people in the room can chat with each other. Um, Use your Zoom, figure out how to use those extra programs back there where you can share your screen. Do your PowerPoints if that works. PowerPoint works for some things. Sometimes it doesn't. Little kids, they get over it real quick. Um, so that may work better for the older ones, but have your visuals. I do scavenger hunts, throughout the week when I'm doing my pre-recorded lessons, and then I give the kids 30 seconds to go find something red and come back with it. And then, draw me a picture of why it's important to you. So having interactive games is something that helps when you're engaging in little people. Um, Also have them have a takeaway. If you just are talking to them, one of the things that Leap stresses, the company that I contracted with, is experiential learning. So for each lesson, it's not like you just learn it and then you're supposed to memorize something and now you remember it. The idea is to first produce something, right? You're doing something with the lesson. Then you are relating it to yourself. Like, what did I learn about myself in this lesson? Then you're relating it to the other people around you.
Mhm,
Well, was this challenging for them? Was it challenging for me? Did what was my experience shared with them? Then you think about, like, what is something that I can do with this program? Where am I seeing it show up in the world? How can I relate this lesson to the world around me? And then finally, what am I going to do today or tomorrow to bring this lesson to life? So experiential learning, that wheel of like connecting to the lesson instead of just like learning something for the day, that makes a lesson memorable. And so when you're working with kids, make it memorable. That way they're going to leave, the learning tree. I screened with some of my little people in my life, and they, my niecey went off and started looking for leaves in the forest because that's what the boy in the book was doing. Right. So you want to be able to take the lesson off the screen and apply it to life. That brings a
mhm,
lesson alive.
mhm. That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Chris.
I hear you a
For
little
us
bit.
online. If you guys have any questions for
Shoot
us,
them at
sorry, we
me.
kind of went off there. Right, going because we want to ask Kristen questions before she goes. Kristen, so you are currently not working right now with Hodge Podge. You say that the program will start October 19th, correct?
Not quite. The subscription-based program where I'm teaching lessons 5 days a week, that actually starts tomorrow. I'm thinking I
Oh, that
might give like
starts
a sneak
tomorrow.
peek. I might give a sneak peek. So, come onto the website, leave your email address, and you'll get the first few lessons, or at least the first few minutes of each
Mm-hmm,
lesson. The lessons are anywhere from 35 to 50 minutes. So you'll get the sneak peek of all the lessons. And I'll probably say next week.
mm-hmm,
This is October 5th. So October 5th is the sneak peek week. The following week is when it's open for
mm-hmm,
purchase. So you're going to have a 1 week subscription price if you just want to get the program for a week for your little one. Then you also have the option to download. So there's one price if you want to get it and have access to it for 7 days. There's another price if you want to download it and keep it forever for all your little ones forever and ever. You can put it on 3 different devices. Then you can pay by the month. And the same thing, there's one price to have 30
mm-hmm.
days of access and another price to download. And then you can also pay for the quarter. So you can go from October to December. You're going to get 20 lessons a month, 5 lessons a
Mm-hmm.
week, and 60 lessons for the quarter. So just
Interesting.
go on the website, make sure you leave your email address. You'll be the first ones to get the lessons.
All right, I'm going to share the website again soon. Dawn is asking, can you share a little bit more about what you do in literacy? Is it for primary age kids or for high schoolers?
So for the Hodge Podge Academy, that's going to be from about pre-K to 2nd or 3rd grade. That's geared toward the lower elementary level kids. And to be honest, based on what your child's level is, they may be able to slide in there too in 4th or 5th grade, because we are, for students who are working on literacy and sentence structure and still trying to understand characters and sequencing and piecing together sentences to be able to write these paragraphs. I know a lot of kids start testing around 3rd grade, which is why we said we'll go up to about 2nd
Mm-hmm.
or 3rd grade with Hodge Podge Academy. So that's the base for Hodge Podge Academy. Now, Hodge Podge Classrooms is all ages. That's going to be where, well, I'll say pre-K all the way up to adult, because we're doing GED classes, we're doing English learning classes. We're also, if you are in college and you're struggling with a particular subject, I have somebody who does pre-cal algebra statistics. So it's all ages, literally. So if you're looking to teach and you have an expertise in one of the older grades, that's welcomed as well. But we are also looking for more people to teach the primary classes. And just know that we offer one-on-one tutoring and group classes and homework classes. So when you asked earlier, what is something that I'm looking for? I'm looking for somebody who knows how to structure their classes in a way that no matter who shows up, we are trying to
Mm-hmm.
lock students in so that it's going to be the same students for every class. But should we have like a drop in, drop out tutoring
Okay.
type of situation, we want to know that you can jump in and have the technology to be able to present the problem, so everybody in the classroom can actually see it and everybody can work through it as a group. Um, so you would need the capabilities of being
Mm-hmm.
able to do that with your technology.
Okay. I wanted to ask also, in addition to what you're saying, for teachers that you are planning to hire, these teachers should have the ability to create their own lesson plan, correct? Or will you have a lesson plan to give them?
You said for what age?
For
Say that
any
again.
age, for any class that the teachers are coming onto, will they have to create their own lesson plan?
So that's a yes and no conversation. If you have a set class and this is going to be a class for 8 weeks, then yes, you're going to do your own lesson plans. You can definitely check in with me or the other 2 curriculum
Mm-hmm.
specialists if you need support around doing your lesson plans. I specialize in that. So does the curriculum specialist, Ms. Hodge Kelly, and so does Ms. Johnson. But if you have your own lesson that you want to do, that's fine too. I just want the students who are showing up to get the most out of the lesson. I don't have a problem, supporting people with
Mm-hmm.
lesson skeletons, I guess you could say. But one thing that I know about teaching is you have to cater to who's in front of you. So one of the reasons that I don't say, here, take this lesson plan and do it, is
Mm-hmm.
if I give you this lesson plan and these students show up on this level over here, my lesson plan is not helpful to you. So I'm looking for teachers who are flexible and who know how to jump into the situation and go, okay, I see the levels that I have in here. I'm going to need a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and I can figure this out, right? So we want people who are problem solvers and who can do what they can with who's in front of them. And then, of course, again, if they need support, we have no problem pushing in or saying, okay, based on what you have in front of you, here's some lessons that might work for that age group. But I want the teacher to be able to assess that themselves, what's needed. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Well, that sounds good. Yes, sounds good, and it makes sense. I know many teachers always have that question. They want to know, okay, so what are the responsibilities of the teacher? So can I just give a quick overview of the responsibilities of the teacher as we wrap up?
Absolutely. So
Just general responsibilities for each.
okay. So one of the things that each teacher has is a description for their class, right? We want to know everything that you're going to be covering in your class, whether it's a
Mm-hmm.
creative or whether it's a classroom. Now, again, that gets tricky for academics because if you have students who are on a certain level, you may have the idea of covering these things, but then you see that your students need those things. So that can adjust at some point, right? So we ask for the full class description. These are all the things that I'm able to offer. Then we ask for bullet points. This is what I'm covering. So that, again, looks different for creatives, right? For somebody who's teaching a cooking class per se, you might have, these are the different types of meals that I'm going to cover. I specialize in international cuisine. I want to focus on healthy cooking and budget friendly meals. So I need a full description. And then here are the things that I'm going to be covering. For a math teacher, that might be, well, I work primarily with fifth to junior high school age students. So I'm going to be covering pre-algebra. I'm going to be covering fractions. I'm going to be covering this. That's what you would need to be able to do. Does that answer your question? All right. Oh,
Yes.
one more thing. One more thing. I would also need
Yes,
to
it
know
does.
your time block, and your Zoom information.
Right,
So,
your scheduling.
the
Mm-hmm.
time blocks are
Mm-hmm.
very important because there are a number of people who are covering the same things, but one person may be available on Tuesday at 6. The other person may be available on Friday at 4. Right. So we're open to some, multiple people teaching one particular subject. Um, and also, as far as the branding of the classes, academics is really like a straight shot. But when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
to creatives, we're branders, right? So what we want is for each
Right.
person who is a creative to have their list of programs that they teach under their name along with their profile. And then if somebody really likes your yoga class and they see that you also teach cooking, they can go, okay, you know what? We're going to sign up for that one and that one because we like this instructor. So we're helping the instructors to brand their programs right now. It went from somebody teaching hip hop to somebody teaching mommy and me hip hop, right? We branded that for that particular program. We could have just left it at hip hop, but we wanted to take it to the next level. And one of the things I'm
Right.
also noticing in teaching with another program is parents really value their time with their kids now because everybody's working all day, behind the screen or in school all
Mm-hmm.
day. So being able to have 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week where the family comes together and does a dance program together or cooks together or a craft project together, that's another thing for parents who are interested. It's one fee. So if you got 3 kids and they all want to sign up for arts and crafts, all 3 of those kids can sit in front of the screen and take arts and
It's
crafts for
one.
that one price, right? You're not going to charge you for every child. All right. So it's a way for the family to be able
Okay,
to
that's
bond
good.
during creative time. Um, so the,
Right, right. So for the scheduling, you're saying then that it depends on if the teacher is free. So it depends on the teacher's schedule. Then they can say to you, okay, we're free at 6, we're free at 10, we're free at 4, and then you can put a slot because they are free.
yes.
Also,
So
regarding Hodge Podge Kids, do you have a set open time or closing time, or is this a 24-hour day online school where you can do classes 12 midnight? What's the opening hours for your
so that was a topic of discussion with me and the creative director because this is the long-term vision is international, right? Right now, we're taking teachers from 8 a.m. till midnight Eastern time. But the reason for that is that we know somebody in another part of the world may
Okay.
want to do that. And I do have instructors who are open to teaching 11 p.m. where they are
Right.
because they know somebody somewhere else may be up. So we'll see how much international traction we get. If it looks like we have a huge international crowd coming in to take Hodge Podge programs, then absolutely, we'll be hiring people around the clock because those are going to be the times that people are signing up to take their classes. The live classes are going to be through Zoom, as I said earlier. So everybody would just need to make sure that they had those internet capabilities during those times. Oh, and
right.
just a heads up to the
Guys,
teachers.
listen. Yes.
We don't like to hold your time. So you're not paid unless the class actually happens. But because I'm somebody who previously has contracted for others, if something comes up during the time of a class that has not been filled and you have to say, I can't honor that time commitment, that's fine. We take it straight off of your schedule. If 48 hours before the class, nobody has signed up for that particular class, then we say, hey, if you want, you can hang on and see, or you can say, take that off of my schedule. I want to make another commitment. So, you know, as a person who has contracted, I really do respect people's time, and I don't want people to hold time for me if they're not getting paid from me. I like to pay people, and I like, you know, for people to be able to explore other options to be able to make their money.
What is your payment method? You pay directly to the bank,
direct
or
deposit,
PayPal?
direct deposit, Square.
Direct deposit.
For tax purposes, we want everything on paper when it's time for tax time. So you would need to have a bank account. Yeah.
Paper. All right. You are I hope you're hearing me.
You're frozen a little bit, but I hear you right now.
We just went out for a while to get back in. You're hearing me now? Everything back? Internet, the internet. All right. So you just heard from Mrs. Kristen, right, Diaz. She gave us, not only did she give us tips, she gave us great opportunities and some jobs right now. To give her email address here for you to send your CV, ask a question, get her contact info. Look at her. She is the friendliest person that you'll ever meet.
Thank you.
Go on. If you know a teacher, if you know a friend, send the information to that teacher or friend, and keep it locked here every week, Sunday evenings, where we'll come with another person next week that will give you more information. And it is not only teach, but to live your better life. Any last words, Kristen, as we go?
I just want to give a shout out to my family because they're awesome. My whole family of educators and caretakers, my cousin, my other aunties, even my husband sat in front of a whole workshop that I did on camera and did the whole exercise like he was one of the kids. So I wouldn't be able to do this without all of them. Even my daughter does my editing. Like, my family is the best, and I really appreciate their support and everything. They know how I am. They're like, okay, Kristen's gonna do it. It's gonna work. Just let us know what you need, and they know I go. When I say it's time.
Okay.
It's time.
and that's so good because everybody needs a good team behind, supportive members of their family behind them, pushing them and helping them. Even sometimes you're feeling down, sometimes you're feeling tired, but when you get that person behind you saying, go, 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 you can do it, it makes a world of a difference. Are you on social media, Kristen?
I am. I wish my creative marketing person was here because she created all of my handles. I want to say we have Hodge Podge Team on Instagram or Hodge Podge LL on Instagram. Same thing on Facebook. I want to say it's Hodge Podge LL or Hodge Podge Kids. And then there's hodgepodgekids.com. So we just, you know, all that stuff is kind of new. And I'm not a huge IG person. I'm on Facebook a lot.
Okay, I'm gonna put Hodge Podge Kids because I'm assuming that's
for sure
the Instagram.
That's the number one
handle.
It's not on
so
Instagram,
just go to
somebody
Hodge
had
Podge
that already.
Kids.
So it might be Hodge Podge LL or Hodge Podge Team on Instagram. But you'll find me. I'm somewhere.
Okay.
And once you go on the website, we'll
Yeah,
have all the
yeah,
handles on the
she's
website.
somewhere. Okay, so
There you go.
guys, we are finished. We are done. It was a great time hearing what Kristen is doing in her side of the world, just changing students, changing educators, changing lives one time at a time. I mean, come on, this is excellent.
Thank you. Thank
Excellent
you.
job,
Thank you.
Kristen. It's
Thank
a
you so much
pleasure
for
talking
having
to
me.
you. Of course, we'll be keeping in touch. And of course, we will definitely follow you on social media, hearing what you're doing and seeing the great work that you're doing with Hodge Podge Kids and mini endeavors, right?
Yes.
So take care. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye.